The Witch and the Dog. Once upon a time, there was a house with creaky floorboards and cracked windows. In the house lived an old cranky witch. Every day the witch brewed potions in her magical cauldron. The witch knew everything about potions and spells. One dark night, the witch didn't know what to make. She had made everything from invisibility potions to spells that made your nose grow long. But today, the witch just didn't know what to make. She didn't want to make traveling potions because she wouldn't need them anytime soon, and a potion of forgetfulness was just way too boring. There's nothing more to make, yawned the witch. I might as well sell it and get a bit of money off my cauldron. When the witch reached the market, she went to the nearest booth and began calling out, "Soup pot for sale! Soup pot for sale!" But of course, the witch's cauldron didn't look anything like a soup pot, and people started running away from the market. No one was interested in buying her cauldron. Back at home, the witch was even more bored. It's no longer a cauldron, it's just another soup pot, the witch grumbled to herself. Just then, the witch heard a loud bark at her doorstep. What is it this time? She grumbled as she went to get the door. Woof, 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 came the reply. The witch opened the door and saw a huge black and white hound on her doorstep. What is this ferocious creature doing on my doorstep? The witch exclaimed. I must get my wand at once. The witch grabbed her wand and pointed it at the dog. The sky darkened and a bolt of lightning shot down toward the dog. But at the last moment, the witch changed her mind and raised her wand to deflect the lightning bolt. The bolt of lightning flew past the witch and through the doorway. It landed on the cauldron with a sizzle and turned the doggy bed and sizzle and turned it into a doggy bed that was only big enough for a tiny puppy. The dog headed over to sniff the transformed cauldron and licked the transformed cauldron. Ever since the witch had returned from the market, she had had a potion brewing in the cauldron after she'd returned from the market. Since she was bored, she had brewed an opposite potion, which meant that if you put a snarling rat in the cauldron, it would turn into a tiny squeaking mouse. So when the hound licked the newly transformed doggy bed, it turned into a tiny puppy, just the right size to fit in the doggy bed. After that, the witch was no longer bored. She was too busy caring for the puppy. I liked my quieter life better when the neighbors never came over to investigate the barking. The witch grumbled to herself one afternoon. It would be nice to have some peace and quiet for once. Sooner than the witch could have ever thought possible, the puppy was fit enough to leave the safety of the witch's home and return into its life in the wild. The witch said goodbye to the puppy, who was almost a dog now. Goodbye, goodbye, the witch called after the dog. That night, the witch slept uneasily. She was too busy worrying about the dog to get any real rest. Finally, she gave up trying to get to sleep and went downstairs to make breakfast for herself. Just as the witch was about to set down a plate full of steaming hot food, she heard a faint scratching at her front door. When the witch saw the little dog, she nearly dropped the plate of food in relief. The witch opened the door and welcomed the dog home. Welcome home, hound, the witch said warmly. The witch had decided to call the dog Hound in honor of its history as a hound before the transformation. The witch and the dog Hound lived happily ever after. The end.